Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Even More News. My name's Katy Stoll.
My name is Cody Johnston.
Cody Johnston.
Yes.
We would like to wish you guys a very happy International Self-Care Day.
Oh, fantastic.
And National Tequila Day. And, those could go hand in hand.
That sound like the same thing.
I mean, they might be polar opposites, but...
depending on your opinion of
self-care.
Of alcohol, of tequila. Not everybody likes tequila.
I didn't like tequila until I had good tequila, and then I really liked tequila.
That'll do it.
But I can't afford good tequila, so I stick to vodka.
So happy vodka day?
It's not happy vodka day. Oh. Save it for vodka day.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think self-care is important. Not joking. Real quick tidbit on self-care.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's the day that it is.
Why?
Because it's good for people.
It's good for people. It's better than National Mac and Cheese Day for sure.
Yeah, those could also go hand in hand, though, I feel.
Yeah, they could. I mean, again, it all depends on what you need. I do think self-care often gets misrepresented as like being about massages or like, I just got to do self-care, so I'm going to indulge in this thing because I need it, because I deserved it. And like, that's true if that's really what you need. But I think self-care is about doing the things that you need to do to take care of yourself. It's about, being a parent to yourself, being... Right,
you were saying that earlier today on the
Twitter?
Twitter.com.
On the Twitter.com, yeah. I just like to regurgitate my tweets on here, you guys.
Yeah, that's what this is
Follow
for.
me at Katy Stoll. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I can't believe I did that. Yeah, no, but I do think that that's really important. And that was a good epiphany for me, that sometimes self-care really is like, I'm feeling a little out of whack. What do I need to do to get my life organized?
Yeah. Get rid of some stuff. Maybe it is do laundry. Maybe it's organize something. Maybe it's just cleaning your apartment a little bit. Maybe it's
maybe you're talking to yourself, Cody.
Maybe you're talking to yourself. Maybe it's doing things that you've been putting off for
it's opening that mail.
Yeah, as opposed to it's not treat yourself day. Yeah, it's self-care.
That's called your birthday.
Right. Yeah, it's not your birthday.
So it's not your birthday.
Do the
it's
things that you
day.
need to get your brain together.
Yeah, I want to start off talking about something a little heavy because it hits close to home for us. I don't know if you guys saw, but on Saturday, there was a hostage situation at the Trader Joe's right up the street from me in our little Silver Lake community. Yeah, Cody and I had taken a break from working, and we were actually going to the market, and we couldn't because this was happening.
Yeah, it wasn't that specific market, but it was on the way.
Well, I was going to Trader Joe's later that day, but
sure. On the way, noticed helicopters swirling and then a bunch of barricades, and then turned around and found out what was going on.
So that was hard. Basically, what happened was some guy, I guess he shot his grandma and his girlfriend, and he grabbed his girlfriend, and and put her in the car, and then there was a high-speed chase, and it ended with him slamming into a lamp post right by our Trader Joe's, and then running inside. And why I'm bringing this up is because there's a little bit of misrepresentation, it feels like, in how it's being talked about, because a woman died. One of the workers, and it was unclear how she died, like how she got shot. But what happened was, as the guy got out of the car, he started firing at the officers, and then a few officers were like returning fire at him as he runs into the market, and they shot out all the windows of the market, and I guess one of those bullets hit the employee. Now, they still haven't officially said that it was...
They did today.
They did today officially say that it was the police?
Yeah, they said one of the stray bullets... fun, the way they worded it was police officers' stray bullet is what killed the woman or whatever, as opposed to like cop kills woman.
Right. Well, that would be a misrepresentation too.
I suppose.
It's real hard because I get it. The guy was firing at the cops, but there are ways that you can handle that situation without firing into a crowded market. There were like 50 people inside there. I think someone else got in a public space. And it's heartbreaking, and it's hard, and it's a difficult question. And starting things off a little heavy.
Well, I mean, there are ways. I remember you posed this question on Twitter, and you got a lot of responses from like ex-military folk and people who were like, no, they didn't have to do that. There are tactics that don't involve shooting up the storefront. And I mean, I've talked about this in the old show a couple times of like just why if we keep having police officers and then they use their guns in public places and they use their guns to kill people, and often like I think cops kill like 25 dogs a day.
You stopped yourself before you finished saying dogs, and I thought that can't possibly be what he's about to say. They kill 25 dogs a day?
Yeah. Yes. So like this keeps happening. It's happened for a long time. And it's at a certain point you think, why isn't public and the government and people and even police officers saying like, well, what if we invented something that could aid us in apprehending people that isn't bullets flying?
Yeah, it's easy to dismiss that idea as being real weird. Like, what do you mean? Why would cops should have guns? Well, how about a weapon that incapacitates but doesn't kill? What about that? We shoot crazy wild animals with a tranquilizer dart. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like at a certain point, and I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned this on this podcast, but like I always think of that moment from Men in Black, the film, where they're chasing after a criminal. An alien criminal.
You have mentioned this on this podcast.
I have.
Before.
Okay. So yeah, and he, the Jay character, the Will Smith character, runs down the street and pulls out his sci-fi gun and starts shooting down the street after the person. Yeah. And Kay is all mad at him. He's like, "Hey, we don't discharge our weapons in public. But the idea is that we don't want to be found out. Right. We have this amazing technology and we don't want people to see it. But also don't do that if it was a regular gun."
Yeah.
And just this culture we have and this idea we have of like, oh, cops, you shoot your gun and it stops the guy. That's why we keep seeing stories of people getting shot in the back as they run away.
Yeah.
If someone is running away from you and you're a police officer, don't shoot them dead. They're running away from you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think that's very well said.
I agree with you completely that it was very well said.
While we're on the subject of don't doing things, don't doing things, a new subject.
Welcome to Don't Doing Things.
A new segment. How about white people stop calling the cops on black people?
That would be cool.
For living their life.
For living their life.
For just doing...
going about their day.
For going about their day. I know that this must be something that's always happened.
Yes.
And that we're just paying more attention to it now.
Yeah. I think that's true of most of these like big kinds of events or like specific types of events that we're seeing shared on.
But like, isn't that crazy that up until this year, those kinds of things weren't shared?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't considered news. I'm glad it's news. This needs to stop. I don't imagine that anybody that listens to this calls the cops on.
Hey, audience, you stop calling.
But I do think that it's important for us to talk about it, and for all of us that are white or don't have the cops called on us regularly, to pay attention and to step up. Yeah. And to be an advocate.
It's very weird. Well, I think maybe we could note that all of these women who are calling the cops on these black people.
It's not just women.
It's not just.
But it is a lot of women.
There's a lot of women. They usually look exactly the same.
Yeah.
They're the same.
They're all called Cindy.
The same person. They're all called Cindy.
Or Sharon. I don't know if any of them have been Cindy or Sharon's, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they all want to see the manager.
Right. Like a Kath.
But I think it's interesting that we spent a couple of years on social media seeing videos of police officers perhaps using excessive force on people who are black who do not deserve that kind of force.
Yeah.
Leading to their death because cops sort of overreact or aren't prepared or aren't super well trained or all the circumstances that we see being filmed. And then after that, we see all of these people calling the cops on black people.
Yeah.
Like you see the worst example of how this can go. And then the next logical step is, well, now we're just going to call the cops on anybody.
Yeah.
If they're selling lemonade on the street or bottles of water, or if they're having a pool party, or if they're having grill outs at the fucking park.
Or if they're teenagers shopping at the mall.
Right.
Any number of these stories.
And it's just very interesting and sad that we went through a phase of talking about the worst case scenario of police in communities of color. And then now we're seeing the first part in reaction to it.
hear you, and I agree that it is very sad, but I'm going to spin it positive and say I'm glad that we're paying attention. And
for sure.
we use that. Like, yeah, that sucks. So let's not let that happen again.
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
let's not go back to the place where we don't pay attention.
And that's not saying even that, like, obviously, like, these shootings still happen all the time, and it's just we're social mediaing in reverse, it seems.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah, just like why are we now like, hey, people that are doing this, did you not see the past couple of years what can happen if you call the police for nothing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of social change.
Oh, good.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is just the name on everyone's lips these days.
Everyone loves to be terrified.
Everyone loves to be terrified of AOC. That's a shout out to our cracked days.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of AOC news pieces today. First one is that she's inspiring, I guess.
That's a good piece of news.
News flash. She's inspiring. No, Virginia Kruta, whatever. Who cares? She's a conservative. I don't care a fuck. That didn't work.
It was good.
She's a conservative lady.
Yeah.
Gal. She went to a rally for Cory Bush.
I love this so much.
To hear Alexandria talk. Well, Alexandria was at the rally speaking on her behalf.
Yeah.
And then she wrote about her experience for the Daily Caller. And what's interesting about it is that her main takeaway in this piece is that I guess she found her inspiring. It's all coded with this like, I was disturbed by it, by seeing everybody swept up. But apparently in her gut, the piece really seems like her heart wants her to be a better person.
It's amazing. The whole thing is just her saying like, and I was there and I saw how easy it was to think that my child should get health care. And I saw all these people. I saw how easy it was to think that my child deserves a free education.
Or a living wage is a human right.
And like, it's just so amazing. And I keep thinking of just like this tone of like, first they gave me health care and I did not speak up. And then they gave me a free education and I still did not speak up. And just like this.
But when I got a living wage.
Right. And it's just like so weirdly dramatic.
But I liked her last point when, like in that list, if I saw all of these things, and I could see how easy it would be for me to want that. She says, above all, I saw how easy it would be to accept the notion that it was the government's job to make sure that those things were provided. Yeah, bitch. See how easy it is to see what the government should and could be doing?
Right? Like, it's just, and everyone's got their different view of like how the government should operate and what it should do. But like, maybe there's a reason that it's so easy to be attracted to these ideas. Maybe it is okay to think that like, okay, there are literal billionaires. And if we tax them more, we could pay for poor people who can't afford to go to the doctor to go to the doctor.
And then that burden's coming off of us on tax. Like there's different things like money. Everybody would feel that. Everybody's life would be better. What's interesting to me, so it's very easy for this woman to see how appealing this is.
It was so easy.
But it's it's very difficult to justify the opposite. You have to jump through hoops to make it seem like,
best part.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sorry, girl, but the easiest answer is usually the right one.
I don't know if I agree with you completely on that.
Really?
Some answers are hard.
No, in your gut when you're talking, Phyllis. No, some answers are obviously hard. Okay, don't. Let's get real hairs.
How dare you?
Get my point.
How absolutely dare you?
And that is the old saying. So can it?
But no, you're right. Like that's I think the great joy of someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who, because when it's Bernie Sanders, you can dismiss him as a crazy old coot and like a white man. But like his ideas aren't bad.
Yeah, but people are trying to dismiss her as some young girl.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're trying different tactics.
Which we'll get to in a second.
But like it's because for so many years, for so long, up until, past couple of years, the Democratic Party has very much towed the line on any sort of push towards the left, and they've resisted that. And everyone on the right sort of paints them as like, Obama was a secret communist. All these people are communists and socialists, when that is so far from the truth.
Obviously.
But now that they're faced with an actual socialist, they're like, how do we argue this? Because we've been presenting these moderate, like center left people as socialists, and now it's easy to defame them. But now that they're actually out of the woodwork and saying like, yeah, everyone should have healthcare, and we're going to tax billionaires, you can't argue with it. Her, like that woman at the rally saying, oh, it was so easy for me to think this was good. It's very hard to argue against it. And that's what we're seeing now
that's not specifically what she said, but that's essentially.
Yeah. Like it's hard. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you lady at this rally are seeing how easy it is to be attracted to these ideas. And we as a people watching all these conservatives we're seeing that it's very hard for them to argue against it.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, you called me Ben Shapiro earlier, and I forgive you completely.
Well, I don't need you to.
Even if you don't apologize, I forgive you completely.
Yeah, I won't ever.
Like one of his arguments against universal healthcare is like, well, if you have universal healthcare, that means that the government pays for healthcare. That means that we require doctors, and that's slave labor. And he equates it to slavery. He says like, if you're going to force,
they're not going to be paid
because his wife's a doctor, and he's like, if you're going to force my wife to treat you, then it's slavery. As if like teachers don't exist, like public school teachers. You absolute maniac. And like we've mentioned this before, but I think it's important to harp on it a lot because we're in a time where disingenuous hacks argue against things that will help people for reasons that are false.
Yeah, that all sucks. I want to circle back to that thing that you said about Bernie, about how it was easy for them to dismiss him because he's like a crazy old kook. Mm-hmm. But they're trying to dismiss her as being young and stupid, which is very sexist. But the other bit of AOC news today was this video. Did you guys see this video? That CRTV, which is a conservative television station, owned apparently by Mark Levin.
Yeah. So this CRTV, this Mark Levin thing, and this is actually something I think everybody should be aware of and do whenever they see arguments like this or people like this. Look at who owns them and look at where that money comes from. The Daily Caller, where that woman went to the Ocasio speech and was freaking out. That's Tucker Carlson's website. Noted white nationalist propagandist Tucker Carlson. And this Mark Levin, so this CRTV, you might actually see the ads for this on our YouTube channel sometimes. It's got programming from roaming millennial Gavin McInnes, the head of the Proud Boys, and Steven Crowder and people like that. It's just a conservative billionaire who's trying to create this sort of narrative of like liberal media bias and like they're the truth tellers.
And he wrote a book called Rediscovering Americanism and the Tyranny of Progressivism. So if you've watched or listened to anything we've talked about lately, you know how we feel about that.
Yeah, they're the real
fascist.
They're the real fascists.
Anyway, so this station owned by Mark Levin, all of those things, hosted a doctored interview of Alexandria. The video, and they called it satire. The video is made by Allie Beth Stuckey, I guess. Basically, she filmed herself asking questions and then cut it up with just random responses from an interview Alexandria did with PBS to purposely make her look stupid. For example, Allie asked, do you have any experience? And then used footage of Alexandria saying, well, I grew up during the Clinton era, which is just, I'm sorry, is that satire? Like,
it is not.
Like, isn't satire like, no.
Yeah, no, it's not satire.
Satire to me is biting and it's intelligent. I mean, I guess. Well, okay, so the definition of satire, I just pulled it up, is the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose or criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. But what they're not exposing her stupidity. They're just trying to make her look stupid. They're not exploiting something she did and extrapolating a joke. They're just...
Right. they're fundamentally misrepresenting the word she says in order to make her appear foolish when she actually is not.
You could say that it's fake news.
It is actually fake news. And they didn't add a, by the way, this is a joke until much later.
Like a winky face.
80-90% of her audience thought this was real. If you read the comments on the Facebook post, you can see like, wow, Ocasio-Cortez is such an idiot. She doesn't understand what she's talking about. All this stuff. Like they thought it was real. It's very interesting how the right views satire and quote uses it. Like Sacha Baron Cohen's show is satirical. It does expose sort of ignorance or like viewpoints and problems in a way. It's not misrepresenting anything. It's making people feel comfortable to express who they are. Yeah. And one thing, so like, I think it's really interesting, and I'm going to get to this point. I promise.
Okay.
I promise you.
We're here for
Katie,
it.
I promise you.
You don't need to promise me. You need to promise the listeners.
Listeners, I promise you I'm going to get to this point. So she made this video where she took out of context clips. People say that that's what The Daily Show did. It's like, this is just what The Daily Show did. No, that's not what they did. They didn't recut answers to questions that were totally unrelated to misrepresent what the person said. It's not the same thing. So they're saying like, well, this is just a satire video. Ben Shapiro retweeted it. It's like, this is just a satire video. Do you not understand satire?
Do you not understand a satire?
And that's the thing. He doesn't understand what satire is, because I'm going to bring up this other thing from about 2 years ago. Daily Wire, his website, owned by the Wilkes brothers, who are fracking billionaires, who think that homosexuality is the same thing as bestiality and incest and pedophilia.
One second. Can we differentiate Daily Caller, Daily...
We cannot, no.
Wire.
I mean, we could, but they're all the same. Daily Caller's Tucker Carlson, Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro, and the Wilkes brothers, who are fracking billionaires,
okay, continue.
Et cetera, and so forth. So his website, he was on vacation at the time, shared this video about Native Americans, and it was for Thanksgiving. And it was a disgusting misrepresentation of Native Americans as savages, exclusively savages who Christopher Columbus came and he was really nice to them and he taught them how to use silverware and he introduced corn to them, which is also like the opposite of the truth, whatever. So it's this weird like misrepresentation of history. And he was like, it's satire. But satire is supposed to expose it exposes sort of the ignorance or something of
it points out a weakness.
It points out a weakness. And it's very interesting to me because both of these cases are satire, but they're unwitting satire about the person who made it.
Yes.
Ben Shapiro's website made a video, quote, satirizing Native Americans. What they actually did was satirize their own viewpoint of Native American and American history and what actually happened. It is a satire of their views. It's how they view the world, and it's incorrect, and it's accentuating that, is heightening it to an unbelievable degree, but they don't know that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They think they're making fun of the other side when actually they're making fun of themselves. This other example, this Alley interview that's completely fake, shows the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It shows a satirical view of her and what right-wing comedy is and what right-wing attempts at satire really are.
Yeah.
When it's trying to make fun of Alexandria.
Yeah.
And it's just really fascinating to me that every attempt of satire by these people is actually like this weird like self-own.
Yeah.
That they're just like, well, no, this is an exaggeration of what I'm doing.
I think that's a really good point.
Thank you so much. I finally got there.
Next time, you made it. The next time you want to make a satirical video, Allie, invest in a little gear. Like, put a little bit more work into it. That shit looked like something you'd make in high school. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break.
What a petty point to end on.
It was petty. And self-care means letting yourself be petty every so often.
Is that what self-care means?
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Even more news. A subsidiary of some more news is brought to you by just taking care of yourself. Just like be you. Just like do what you got to do. Drink a glass of water first of all. If you're listening to this right now, drink a glass of water.
Are you hydrating?
Even if you're like, oh, I drank some water today. Drink another glass of water right now. You will thank us. It is good for you.
Send us
you
a
will
tweet.
Feel better.
Let us see your water pics.
Let us see your... Well, you don't drink from a water pic.
Like, I want to see a picture of you drinking water. Like a selfie.
Oh, your water pictures.
You can take pictures of water if you want, but...
Right, I thought you meant like a water pic, like where you... Like for your teeth care.
I bought a water pic because Jonathan Van Ness told us to on Queer Eye, and I never opened it.
Sure.
Anyway, Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Open that water pick.
Open up water pick.
And take a water pick.
And take a water pick of you cleaning your teeth with your water pick. Or just drink a glass of water. Use promo code thank you.
And we're back.
I am so glad that we finally have sponsors.
I know, it's so good. It's so nice to have all that sweet cash.
Seriously. And like we signed up for the network of ads and they're like, well, if you do this ad, we'll send you a glass of water for yourself. Yeah. And I'm
just drowning in water.
Yeah.
No, I want to be drowning in water.
Nobody wants to be drowning in water.
You're right. Everything's off the rails. It's hot, you guys.
It's really hot.
Let's talk about some more news.
Oh, the show?
The show.
Or the news?
No, the news. Alex Jones, he's back.
He's never left.
He's never left.
He's never going to leave.
He's back on my Twitter feed today, specifically. This time he's calling Robert Mueller a pedophile. Thankfully, though, Facebook doesn't think that violates their user rules.
Well, anything that decreases engagement on Facebook is not in violation.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, what's this quote here? They'd let Mueller rape kids in front of people, which he did. I mean, Mueller's covered up for a decade Jeffrey Epstein kidnapping kids, flying them on sex planes. Sorry, if you have a problem with him, do you have a problem with Donald Trump? That was a side note. That's not what he said.
I mean, that's true. We're going to stop real quick.
I don't need to keep reading his quote.
No. All these people mentioned Jeffrey Epstein, and they didn't for a couple of years because they knew that he's connected to Donald Trump too. He's definitely connected to Bill Clinton. They all rode on his plane. He has a sex plane for underage girls. He's a pedophile. That's just the thing about Jeffrey Epstein. And they tried to not mention him for a long time because even though he's connected to Bill Clinton, he's also connected to Donald Trump, who is in his little black book with it's actually insane if you look at his contact information that Jeff Epstein had. Yeah. Donald Trump takes up more than a page. It's like he has the most contact information of him.
I mean, just a word of advice to everybody that wants to use that card. Don't. Because it's
just don't do and like admit to the person that you're defending.
Yeah, and that Russia colluded to get him elected.
But then after he mentioned that he's a pedophile,
there's lots of things, more pedophile stuff.
He said shoot him, right?
Big perverts raping them to frame people, blah blah blah. Yes. Then he says, pantomiming shooting Mueller politically at high noon in an Old West shootout. Make the move first and then it's going to happen. It's not a joke. It's not a game. It's the real world politically. You're going to get it or I'm going to die trying, bitch. Get ready. Are you kidding me?
That is some actually masterful talking around what he's saying. That is impressive. He is a performance artist because he's
at the top of his game.
It's not, what does he say? It's not a game. It's not a game. But then he said, political.
Well, he's not a game. It's the real world.
It's the real world. Politically. That's what he does. It's not a game. It's the real world. Politically. I'm like talking politics here. This is a metaphor, but it's real. But it's a metaphor.
You're gonna get it, or I'm gonna die trying, bitch. Get ready. That's a threat, and.
Oh, that's a threat, but it's a threat that he knows that he's doing, and he knows that he can talk around it, and he knows he can defend himself by saying, well, I said it was political.
But he also knows how all of his people that are watching will view it.
Oh, yeah. His audience made up of maniacs. If anyone listening is a fan of Alex Jones, you're a fucking maniac.
You're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place.
No, you're in the right place. Keep listening to us. But like
you're welcome here.
You're a maniac.
The other thing is, can we stop just calling people pedophiles?
No.
Can we though?
No.
Can we stop? Okay, I guess we can't.
We're going to talk about that now?
I would. Well, I think it's appropriate transition. I don't need to keep talking about Alex Jones. I think it's a perfect transition.
Nobody wants to keep talking about Alex Jones.
I'm trying to keep this conversation moving forward.
You're doing a great job.
We're running out of time here.
No, we're good. We've got 3 hours left.
Stop. Please accept this, Cody. Stop just calling people pedophiles. Like Elon Musk. We didn't talk about this on the show the other day, but Elon Musk calling that guy a pedophile for no reason. When the actual pedophiles continue to release songs, which I refuse to listen to. I'm talking about R. Kelly. Don't listen to that bullshit.
Oh, right.
There's this whole thing, this James Gunn thing, and I think this is the time to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if there's gonna be a time
to talk about it. when we're talking about conspiracy theorists and pedophilia accusations, this is the time. If you didn't see this, James Gunn has been fired from the new Guardians of the Galaxy after Mike Cernovich dug up some old tweets of his where he joked about pedophilia, which are disgusting. They are bad tweets.
Yeah, the gross tweets. I do want to mention one, like, I think out of taste jokes aren't like necessarily like fireable offenses, especially if you apologized 6 years ago when you initially said them.
Well, here's the thing. I want to, these tweets were from a long time ago. He is an admittedly different person. He apologized for them. These tweets occurred before he was hired to make these movies in the first place. Disney knew about them. These aren't a surprise. So,
I mean, his filmography they knew about. Like, he's made some fucked up stuff in the past.
A good friend of mine was in something he made called PG porn. You know, all of this is, Slither. Like, this isn't shocking. They grappled with this before they hired him. Yeah. So anyway.
And there's this one story that I think is worth mentioning where he's making I forget what the movie was, but it's just a story on his blog about like a monkey that was on set and it started jerking off.
Yeah, I believe that was PG porn.
And then it finished, I believe, on one of the child actors. And he told that story in a fun way, in a way where like, isn't it funny? This story makes me happy. And like, that's not good. I don't think that a person who thinks that should necessarily be making movies with people, especially with kids.
And I hear that. And I've heard people, and I don't disagree with people that reach out. This is a complicated situation, who've said like, well, Disney can't really employ someone that has made pedophilia jokes, rape jokes. And like, I get that. I understand that. They probably shouldn't have hired him in the first place if they were going to fire him. But, and I don't actually like James Gunn's sense of humor. I have a few friends who are very, very close with him and have been for a very long time. And they are adamant that he is the kindest, most generous, loving, loyal man that they've ever met. You know, he would take a bullet for people. And that's all just a front. That's a cover. That's his sense of humor.
He's got a fucked up sense of humor.
And I always had a hard time reconciling that. And I never really liked him. But then I always, from a distance, appreciated the changes that I saw in him online. So I'm not defending him. I'm not. But I do call bullshit in Mike Cernovich going after him. And
also, Johnny Depp is still employed by
Johnny
Disney.
Depp, I mean, exactly.
Like, we don't need to get into that, but like...
John Lasseter, you know. But there is something, and I pointed this out on Twitter, and I am going to point it out here.
Is it Mike Cernovich has been accused of rape and is a rape apologist and doesn't believe date rape?
I mean, that's one of the things in my notes, but that's not what I was going to say now.
Sure.
It was that the day before Mike Cernovich did this, Mark Duplass tweeted that, you know, Ben Shapiro was kind to him once. And...
Yep.
And that he doesn't agree with what he has to say, but it's really important to listen to people on the other side of the aisle, and other liberals should follow him.
And he's genuine, and he's not dishonest.
And all this stuff. And that's obviously bananas. And Twitter let him know, you know, and for the most part, I mean, some of it was angry. I tried to be nice. Like, you're a good guy. I think you're misunderstanding the situation.
Yeah. Some of it was angry, but like, it was always presented as like, everyone's mad at Mark. No.
That was the way Ben Shapiro spun it. Yeah. Everyone thinks that he's a sexist, racist, homophobe. No, everyone thinks you are, Ben, not Mark Duplass. He is a good guy, we think, and we're letting him know. Anyway, James Gunn chimed in during all of this the day before he got fired. And he said, maybe you disagree with Mark Duplass, which is completely fair. Personally, I think even Ben Shapiro's mother should unfollow him. But that doesn't make Duplass's point of view evil. There are lots of traitors and racists in the country. Perhaps save your outrage for them. A couple other tweets later, Mark Duplass tweeting about how you should follow an asshole because he thinks it's the kind of thing to do. Can't be the bar for moral outrage. And so then Ben Shapiro responded.
I'm a fan.
You know, saying, I appreciate the sentiment, James Gunn, even if you're as wrong about following me as you were in your directorial decisions in Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. I'm sorry, Ben, if you're going to quote a bad movie, don't quote that one. It's not a bad movie. They go back and forth.
Yeah,
James Gunn then calls him an asshole again. So they have a spat. That's my point, is that there was a spat about who was worse, and it blew up on Twitter. Everybody was talking about it. And then the next day, Mike Cernovich did this.
Interesting turn of events. Interesting sequence there.
It doesn't seem coincidental.
No, of course not. I mean, Cernovich is clearly just arbitrarily going after prominent people who are critical of the president and critical of right-wing hacks like Ben Shapiro. It's gross and obvious. Before we move on, I do want to really quick say that Ben Shapiro said that it's as bad as like your directorial decisions in Guardians of the Galaxy. No, Ben. What you're complaining about is probably the plot or the script.
Sure.
If you look at it from
I think that he wrote the script. But...
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But that's my point. Like, you're saying like, oh, the directing was bad. It was fucking good. What are you talking about? It looked amazing. There were amazing action sequences. Even the opening sequence was really cool.
It made me emotional.
Yeah, it's got some really good moments, and like you can complain about like the plot or some of the dialogue, but saying that like your directorial decisions were bad, fuck you, Ben. You don't know what you're talking about. It looks good.
Probably the most... maybe not now because we've got Black Panther, but like some of the most creative superhero decisions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Literally look at the opening sequence where in the background, there's this huge fight between the Guardians and this giant monster. And then Baby Groot is dancing along to like, what is Mr. Bright Eyes? Yeah, that's the opening to this one.
It was awesome.
Ben, you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
At least like put forth like actual criticisms.
I mean, that's the time when Ben should have brought up those old tweets. Because
maybe
that's what everybody was
tweets,
doing.
Right.
Anyway.
But, yeah, it's obvious what Cernovich is doing. And this blew up, and Disney reacted very, very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
In a way that wasn't taking anything into account. It was like, oh, no, we've got a problem. We've got to get rid of this guy. And so Cernovich and his Jack Posobiec buddy, and who, by the way, has tweeted and deleted the Nazi code 1488 a few times.
Cool.
So if we're talking about old tweets, maybe talk about how Jack Posobiec has tweeted Nazi codes out and deleted them. Moving on. Maybe. So then they went after Michael Ian Black for some old tweets. And that's ridiculous. It's this like what you said at the beginning of like, can we stop just calling anybody a pedophile? If you make any joke, that doesn't mean you are the thing that you're joking about. I think it's not even valid. Like, but there are some situations where like Louis C.K. is a person who, in his stand-up routine, had a lot of bits about like how gross men are and how, you know, they do this and they do this and make women feel uncomfortable and they use their power for this. And like, I love jerking off. I jerk off all the time to people who don't want me to. And like, that's the kind of thing, knowing him, where you're like, why are you talking about this all the time? Like, why are you focused on this?
Right.
And like, as a stand-up comedian, maybe you're like exercising some demons, and the rumor mill starts, and then you find out after he admits it that, I used to like lock the door and jerk off in front of women who didn't want me to. But that's not the same thing as just making an outrageous joke. Yeah.
And that's a good reminder to me what I wanted to say,
Good.
Which is comparing this a little bit to the Me Too thing, in that, you know, a lot of people agreed with Disney, you know, liberals, people that I respect. Mm-hmm. And I want to take that into consideration. Maybe you guys listening, I'm sure some of you guys also agree. And I hear you, but I do wonder, what's our threshold for forgiveness? What is the appropriate apology? Mm-hmm. We are kind of in a revolution right now, and most people have something that they regret. Mm-hmm. And
human beings,
we make mistakes, we evolve, we forgave Joy.
That's like,
Read.
That's like the central message to most movies and art that we see. People make mistakes and you can grow and change.
Yeah.
Like stories, like the fundamental like aspect of them is change.
Yeah.
And like growth.
It's like the hero's journey and all of it.
Anyway.
But yeah, so I don't know. That's just something to be thinking about as this happens, because this stuff is going to continue to happen. Yeah. And the lines feel clear to me, but I think it's a little bit nebulous.
Especially when you have, and I think also like even with like the DNC leaks and all these things, like people hacking so many other people and releasing personal emails and things. I think we need to really acknowledge and understand that people like do make mistakes, and like maybe they type something that like they regret, or like we're all human beings, and we're all like slowly being exposed, I guess, to the world. Like privacy won't even be an issue in like 20 years.
Pretty
because
soon,
privacy
all
won't
of our
exist.
deepest, darkest secrets are going to be out in the open, and I think we're all going to be a lot happier.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's gonna have your nudes. Everybody listening,
That's cool.
Everyone's gonna
have
them.
my health records.
Yeah.
My bank statements.
But I think we need to really prepare everybody and ourselves for that. But it's especially, I think, a problem when you have bad actors involved in the exposure. When you have people like Mike Cernovich, who's got some terrible things that he has said and believed and believes and still says and done. And then you have Jack Posobiec, same thing. And they're obviously going after these people not because they care. It's not because they care. It's because they think they can win points. They think they can take someone down. It's like, I got a scalp. I took down James Gunn. I took down this person. You don't actually care. You're not.
No.
You don't actually think that they're pedophiles. You're not reading an old joke from
And you don't
Michael
care
Ian
if they're
Black.
pedophiles or not.
And they don't care. But like, you're not reading an old joke from Michael Ian Black or Patton Oswalt and being like, I genuinely think this person's a pedophile because of this joke. You don't think that. You're just playing this game, and it's really gross, especially considering the source. And they should actually be ashamed of themselves.
Shame.
They should be ashamed of themselves, but they can't feel shame, so we shouldn't take them seriously.
We're just about out of time. There were a couple other real news items.
Real
that
news,
we
you say?
should have gotten to. I'll just say it real quick. Exciting Trump-Russia update. After saying he doesn't know why Russia would meddle in our election and change it to I don't know why he wouldn't, but also in the same breath saying that it could be other people and Putin should really come over and have a sleepover at the White House in the fall. After all of that, Trump is suddenly very concerned that Russia will meddle in the 2018 midterms to help the Democrats.
What a piece of actual shit.
A piece of actual shit.
What a literal turd.
Democrats are going to do well in the midterms, and it's not going to be because of Russia. Well, it's going to be because of Russia, but because of what Russia did for you.
But like the opposite. He said this earlier today, and it's kind of unbelievable that he's rolling back on so many different things in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So many different times, and then arriving at, by the way, if the Democrats win, it's because of Russia. Like, he is, I don't want to say masterful because he's actually very bad at it. It's just people are dumb, and people are liars, and so they're buying into it.
We accept a mediocre job of anything, apparently.
Yeah, but it's kind of incredible that he's made this move, and it might work, where he's like, yeah, if Democrats win, some people in the country will think it's because Russia meddled and wanted the Democrats to win, even though literally like 2 weeks ago, Vladimir Putin on stage was asked if he wanted Donald Trump to win. And he said, yes, I did. Yes, I did. He said it twice. He confirmed it twice. How can you move?
I saw Cody get so worked up just now.
It's very frustrating that these liars can just do it. And people are like, well, moving on. All right, it's fine. Literally, like earlier today, he said, just remember, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening. He just told a crowd of people, what you're seeing is not what's happening.
And they
that
believe
is
him.
Unacceptable.
But
we accept it, and we move on with our day. And we just think it's okay that this literal president of an actual country can say what you're seeing isn't what's happening.
And just a quick reminder, the thing that I tweet at him every time he tweets something about fake news. I do it to discredit you all and demean you all. So when you write negative stories about me, no one will believe you. Quote from him about the fake news. We're going to have to end. Do you have anything positive or something you've liked that you want to share?
I'm very concerned about the cult of Donald Trump that buys into everything he says.
So that's a positive thing.
I wanted to bring a positive thing, but I got so upset at the end of this.
Well, cool, because I have a couple. Good. And just like last week, they're all badass feminists.
Hell yeah.
8th Grade, beautiful movie.
It's a beautiful movie.
You should go see that movie. It's sad. It's important. It's just like a really interesting look that we can all relate to.
It's genuine.
Being in middle school and that transition, that time of your life.
It's real good.
I think it's gorgeous. And the other thing I'm really enjoying is the book I'm reading from my book club. Yes, I have a book club. It's called The Power. I'm only halfway through, but I love it. It's about a future society, I guess, where I guess after in this world during World War II, they were putting a little bit of stuff in the water supply so that people could build up resistance to chemical weapons. And anyway, fast forward however many years in this book, and women have developed a superpower, and it starts in young women and they can wake it up in older women, and basically electricity shoots through their hands and they can do all sorts of different stuff with it. All of a sudden in this world, the women are more powerful than the men, and it's made me emotional a couple times, and I think the other girls in my book club have as well, like because we want it to be true.
Sure.
But it's a really cool story. I don't know how it ends, but it does deal with power dynamics, and it's interesting to see the responses that the men have in this world to this new threat of the women, and the women shackling off, like women that had been sex slaves, banding together, and like big revolutions happening, and it's really cool. So read that.
Yeah, join the book club.
Join our book club. We meet on Sunday, though, so you're going to have to get to it.
Ivanka Trump's clothing line is done.
So that's some positive news.
That seems positive. That's nice.
Oh, what a nice way to end this.
I got there.
We love you all very much.
You lifted women up and I knocked them down.
I said I love you all very much.
I love you all very much, too.
Bye.